Free audio post-production by Alphonic.com.
Welcome back. As I said in the last episode, we're going to start doing a little Bible study. I'm going to start reading a scripture every episode, pointing to the reality of Jesus, the Bible, being from Lucifer. It's a trick. Anyway, let's get into it. The context of this scripture is Saul, King Saul, is interacting with King David. King David wants to take one of Saul's daughters as his wife. And so Saul is sending a message to David about that. Let's read 1 Samuel 18, 25 through 27. Saul replied, "Say to David, the king wants no other price for the bride than 100 Philistine foreskins to take revenge on his enemies." Saul's plan was to have David fall by the hands of the Philistines. When the attendants told David these things, he was pleased to become the king's son-in-law. So before the allotted time elapsed, David took his men with him and went out and killed 200 Philistines and brought back their foreskins. They counted out the full number to the king so that David might become the king's son-in-law. Then Saul gave him his daughter Michal in marriage. So Saul tells David, in order for him to take his daughter as David's wife, I want you to go out and kill 100 people, and you're going to cut off their dicks, cut off parts of their dicks, and bring them to me in a basket or a satchel or whatever. And David is a favorite of God's, says, fuck it, man, I'll bring you 200 penis parts. Saul asked for 100 circumcised penises. Or I guess not circumcised penises, but foreskins from a penis. And David brings him 200 so that he can get married to the woman of his choice, who just happens to be the daughter of the king. What kind of fucking weirdness is this? Weirdness, immorality. You know, again, the point to this and the point to a lot of these stories that I'm going to be pointing out is to illustrate what I'm saying. Jesus is Lucifer. The God of the Bible is Lucifer. It's a trick. That's not moral. That's gross. That's weird. And you know, the theologians argue that, well, that's warfare of the time. That's one of the arguments they'll make to try to make sense of this garbage. Well, the Bible stories, all the things that are being done, all the things that are encouraged, this is all coming from God. God isn't subject to the immorality of the times, right? If God is moral, I don't give a damn what these people are doing. You would enlighten them. Man, don't be doing no weird shit like that. What are you talking about? Cutting off, mutilating dead bodies, right? Go kill those people, then mutilate their bodies and bring those foreskins to me so that I can, okay, you're marrying my daughter. This is nonsense. Gross nonsense. He asked for 100 foreskins and he's brought 200 foreskins. Imagine that imagery, right? And it says that the attendants are counting off these foreskins. What does that look like? A group of men standing around sifting through mutilated penises. What does that look like when David goes to do this? We're going to kill these people. And then we're going to go around with these shears and we're going to cut off their dicks, put them into a basket, and bring them back to King Saul. What does that look like? It doesn't look like morality. It looks devilish. Think about it. That sounds like something that's coming from a being that is less than perfect. This is coming from a sick being. Anyway, that's our Bible study for today. The flood of Noah. I'm calling it the flood of Noah. So there is a book, or not a book, but an epic called the Epic of Gilgamesh. I'm sure you've heard of it. The Epic of Gilgamesh predates Abraham's version of stories by a minimum of 300 years, and some say up to maybe 1,000 years. Predates the story. In the Epic of Gilgamesh, there's a story of a flood. And the funny thing about it is that the story told in the Epic of Gilgamesh happens to be identical to Noah's flood. But again, Epic of Gilgamesh was written 300 years minimum before Noah's flood. What a coincidence. Here's a few of the similarities, right, between the two stories. One, first of all, the guy in the Epic of Gilgamesh who is in the role of Noah is named Utnapishtim. The parallels are these. A divine warning. Noah received a divine warning. Utnapishtim received a divine warning from the god Enki. Noah was the chosen survivor. Utnapishtim was the chosen survivor. Noah was told to build an ark. Utnapishtim was told to build a boat. Noah was told to bring his family and animals. Utnapishtim was told to bring his family and animals. There were 40 days of rain, and the water prevailed for 150 days. Same element in Noah's story as in the Epic of Gilgamesh's telling of a flood. Release birds to find dry land once the waters have receded or the waters have stopped at least. Same element in both stories, Noah's and in the Epic of Gilgamesh, revolving around Utnapishtim. Noah landed on Mount Ararat. Utnapishtim landed on Mount Nemash. Both make a sacrifice to God after the flood. And on and on and on. This is called plagiarism. It's illegal in our current age. Now, they didn't have intellectual property or plagiarism laws back in the times that these verses were written. But the principle is going to be the same throughout history at any time. If a person were to come to his village and say, I killed that bear that's been terrorizing everybody, when in fact it was somebody else who killed the bear, that's lying. That's stealing. You're stealing credit. When we receive the story of Noah through the Bible, without the Bible having cited that this came from an older story, plagiarism, stealing, it's against the law. It's immoral to do that. You are allowing people to think something that is not true. You know, a lie is deception, right? You can lie without saying a word. It's deception. And when you allow people to think, or you assert this version of a story as though it's coming from you originally, and you're not citing the older text from which you found this story, you're up to something. Again, it's against the law. It's plagiarism. I mentioned before, the oddity of how we get this story, this Abrahamic telling of things. The story that we're told is inspired by God, and yet there's no other side of the story. Where's the other being at? And it's funny, in particular in the Christian tradition, we're told that this is the devil's world. That can't be so, and the devil did not have a response to the Bible. Right? I mean, the devil is cast as everything bad, and yet no response. And looking at character in relationship to two people having a dispute. The one who does all the loud mouthing, the finger pointing, casting aspersions, that's usually the one that's wrong. That's usually the villain. In particular, when the other side is like, oh, whatever. I'm not even going to say anything. The devil makes no comment. The so-called devil. No comment at all. We're getting one side of the story. And the thing about this, too, another thing about this is that the one who is giving us one side of the story is also the one who's offering rewards for you not listening to the other guy. Don't listen to him. He's going to come around eventually, but don't. Just listen to what I'm telling you. Don't entertain what he says. Listen to what I'm saying. Okay, so I'm listening to what you're saying, and what I see you saying is to go over there and beat. You're telling your men, your soldiers, to go and beat old women and little children to death. I'm listening to you, right? I'm not making that up. I saw you tell your soldiers to go and beat old women and little children to death with no mercy and no pity. I got to hear the other side of this story before I can ride with you. What's the other side of the story? Where is this other person at? Where is this other person at? You told me that this is his world. Well, where is he? You doing all the talking. You doing all the bad shit. Your followers are the one who's conquered the world and are killing people and molesting children. It's always coming from you, from paying attention. Threats, right? The one who's threatening you with 1,000,000 years of torture for not following him. You can either get $1,000,000 or you can get 1,000,000 years of torture. This is his offer. This is what we're getting from the God of Abraham. I'll give you $100 million. Just follow me. Ignore all this other stuff that's going on in the back. Don't pay no attention to that. Hey, man, are they beating children over there? Don't worry about that. Don't worry about that. Hey, man, he's beating up an old woman. Just look, man, I'm going to give you some money, man. Just come over here. I'm going to give you eternal money. I'm going to let you live forever. Just follow me. Don't worry about what the other person is doing. Don't worry about what they're doing over there. You want me as a friend. This is called racketeering. Again, it's against the law. It's against the law. This is what mobs do. They come into your store and tell you, you better follow us, pay us weekly and you'll be safe. Don't pay us and we're going to burn this place down. We'll break every bone in your body. That's racketeering. So we're being coerced in two ways. We're being offered tremendous rewards on one side, and we're being threatened with torture on the other side. Whatever you do, don't listen to the other one. Just come along. Just come over here. I got you. Nope. Nope. Jesus is Lucifer. The Bible is a trick.
Free audio post-production by Alphonic.com.